Hey everybody, welcome to FilmSPARK. Has anybody else been to any other elements of SparkCon, or have you been to anything from FilmSPARK earlier this weekend? Yeah. Yeah? Having fun so far?
Oh yeah.
Good. Well, my name is Bob Walters. I host a show about the local film scene called Local Film Talk. Oh, you took it down, okay. Try not to blind me with that projector. But I do a local show called Local Film Talk where we talk to people in the film industry here in North Carolina. A lot of these people are here in the audience today. We're going to talk to some of them on stage about some of their films they're going to be showing here. So anyways, this is our first time, my first time doing a show in front of an audience. Yeah. Yeah, this is exciting. Oh, it's already dry. So I won't hold you up too much longer. We're going to go ahead and start with our first short. It's actually a scene from a feature film. Director Michael Howard. Mike, you want to come up on stage real quick? So Michael is has already messed up his microphone. That didn't take long. You actually, this is, what we're going to see is just a scene from your feature.
Yes, it's a scene a little earlier on in the film. The film is kind of interconnected stories, and so this is one of the stories that kind of takes us into the sister. It's about, this scene that you'll see is a single dad and his kid. They're driving and he's texting on the phone and they get in a car crash, and then this is the scene that follows it, leading into the sister's story.
Okay.
And then you'll see the trailer.
Great. Well, do you want to sit back down, or you
Yes.
want to just take a seat on the side over there?
I will sit over here.
Oh, okay. All right, well, let's go ahead and run our first clip. Not bad, huh?
Should I sit or?
Yeah, go ahead and grab a seat. Got your mic all fixed?
I think so. Testing.
So there we go. That was a scene from Where We're Meant to Be, and then also the teaser trailer, which came out a couple weeks ago and is online now. Grab a stool. So go ahead and tell us a little, give us a little bit of a overview of the movie.
The film is, it's a series of kind of interconnecting stories, and so it's more about kind of the theme of these important moments of your life and the times that are kind of most pivotal in your life, and also about how those connect with others. And so you'll see one scene and it'll connect to another, and sometimes they're in small indirect ways, and sometimes they're very direct ways. Sometimes it's one scene that causes the other, sometimes it's one that sees something in a previous scene that changes their whole story that the previous scene isn't even privy to. They have no idea that it happened. And so it just kind of touches on different things in life and the different ways that, you know, things in our life are caused by, you know, other people or situations, and then we see these people in those situations, and then we move on to something else. We just capture them at smaller moments in their life.
And so this scene, the scene that we saw tonight is, you know, obviously in the hospital room. Tell us a little bit. Now, one of the neat things about this is that this wasn't just a run and gun style, you know, project where everybody was working for free and everything. This is actually done like an actual Hollywood movie. You complied with all the union rules. Everybody got paid standard industry wages and everything. So this is a real big, legit production, which is really cool. And congratulations on being able to pull that off.
Oh, thanks.
So with that said, in the scene, we have a hospital bed in a hospital room, which obviously you got to go ahead and get permits for and all sorts of stuff. Tell us a little bit about securing a location like that.
Yeah, it wasn't industry wages, by the way. Sorry for everybody who didn't make very much. But yeah, we did definitely go through all the correct channels. We shut down the NC Specialty Hospital wing. Well, it's closed on a Sunday. They do it for emergency ones, but they let us use their whole wing on a day off. So we were very lucky to get that because, you know, as you can see, hopefully from the scene, it just adds quite a bit of production value rather than just having, you know, a spare room that you kind of make up with a hospital bed or something like that.
A conference room in somebody's
exactly.
office building. That
yeah, so it really gives it that feeling of being in this hospital and having this bed and all of that. Because I think without that, you know, the scene can suffer. So we were real fortunate with with them helping us out and letting us shoot there.
Right, right. Yeah, that stuff really does help. So how, and obviously this scene is a montage, and you're kind of going all over town. So what's the logistics of moving that bed around and shooting all over town and out on the street and pushing it through a grassy field and everything? Is that pretty difficult?
It was, yeah, just because Harper, the little dude who does so great in this scene, is waving his hand over there. Yeah, he's a little guy, and so it's a big, heavy, industrial-sized bed. But really, yeah, just trying to find the places that, we wanted to shoot these different scenes at and kind of getting them all set up and going, and then trying to assist him the best we can and helping him get, what he needs to get done, and then
move that
piecing
bed
them.
without your hand being in the shot.
Exactly, yeah. Sometimes we had a little hidden one, but yeah, most of the time he was just a trooper. He was pushing through and making it happen, so.
Now, did you have trouble, obviously anytime you're outdoors you have to contend with weather and everything, but like especially out on the lake, getting that sunset and everything with the clouds and all that, was that difficult timing that?
No, we just hoped for the best on that one. We got super lucky with that shot, but there was a couple rain days where we ran in and had to, trying to change the schedule around, but for the most part we were pretty lucky with weather, and yeah, like that lake shot day was a beautiful one, and
right.
We got the magic hour and all the right times, and I think it worked out well, yeah.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about putting together a montage scene. The nice thing about that is that when you're recording all this stuff, you don't really have to worry about sound. Although a lot of that depends on how the scene changes from what you wrote it as. If you had originally written it as a scene with noise and everything, and then just decided during post-production to turn it into a montage, that's a whole different thing. But was it planned to be a montage from the beginning? And then what's it like editing and putting together a montage and, with the music and all that?
Yeah, this is actually 2 years ago when I kind of first really started this. This was one of the first scenes I had kind of envisioned and thought about the most, and had all these little various points, in mind of what I wanted.
This is one of the first things that you thought of as part of the story.
Yeah, and I found the song about a year and a half ago, and it's just the only song that made sense to me for this scene. It fit it so perfectly, and so I would just constantly think about the different moments in that song and where it would hit and when it would go back to the hospital and all of that. And so really it just came down to finding the interesting shots that kind of told that story and finding the ones to go together, and piecing it, and yeah, just making it work. So that one was always a montage, and there's other ones in the film where we play with the timing and stuff.
Right. Now, did you have any trouble? What's it like securing the rights to a song like that? You're dealing with obviously an old copyrighted song, but you're trying to get a cover version of it. So are there two different companies you have to get rights from?
Yeah, there's different syncing, licensing rights and things like that. And sometimes it's just getting them to agree to the song, or being able to, to write them and be like, hey, I want to do this song. And I almost didn't get this song. I was real worried about it because I had to, like I said, for a year and a half before we shot this scene, that's all I thought about with it. And I had it all timed up. And then, we threw it together as a rough draft to make sure that we had enough footage to fill the song and that it all worked. And then there were just delays as, she was on tour as a musician named Hart Sawyer. And then finally one day, she just wrote and said, sorry, but we're gonna have to pass it this time. We can't use the song. And so I freaked out for a bit, and then ended up—
As you do.
Yeah, and so then I ended up just fully editing the piece and color correcting and getting it all as you saw it today, and then sent it to her, and I was like, I don't know if there's a reason you passed on it before being able to see it or talk about the film more, but watch the scene, and then tried a paragraph of please, 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 please type of thing, and then she saw the scene luckily, and then it all worked out, and she agreed to let us use the song, but yeah,
sometimes that's what it takes. People just have trouble understanding what you're trying to do, and if you can kind of give them a rough draft and say, this is what it's going to look like.
Yeah, it helps them to see it and in place, and hopefully it's powerful at that point to really like, all right, this really works. Before that, we hadn't really had a chance to talk about it because she was doing tours and all of that, so she didn't really know much about the film at all. And so I think it was just one of those like, oh, I don't really know about the film, that's fine. But once I was able to show her, fortunately, it worked out in that regard.
Okay, great. Well, we can't, we can't really talk about the scene without talking about the star, the young man who is here in the audience. You want to wave to everybody?
And Alex, who played the dad, and Sarah, who played the sister, are actually both here too. So they're all
yeah, you guys
all
stand
in
up, take a
attendance.
bow.
Thank you, guys.
So tell us a little bit, Alex, this is probably the easiest scene you had in the whole thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about, I'm sorry, I didn't get the name of
Harper.
Huh?
Harper.
Harper. Tell us a little bit about working with kids, because that's always an interesting choice. How did you find him? And what was it like working with him on the scene?
It was great. There's always horror stories about working with kids and animals and just the unpredictability and things like that. Harper, they responded to, we had an audition posting out and he came in. Sorry. Harper, Sarah, the woman who plays the sister, was his teacher. And so she got us in connection with him. And so we had him read and do an audition and he just nailed it. I mean, he's obviously a cute little dude and just fits the part perfectly that way, but even like the performance aspect and all of that. And it was great working with him because he showed up and he did kind of whatever we needed. And some kids can get, cranky and not really want to do it or get tired. And he'd just be like, okay, In fact, it was funny because sometimes I'd be trying to maybe over-explain things to him, be like, all right, we're going to do this and this. And it kind of became a joke on the set that he would be like, yeah. Like, I got it. Yeah. And so then other times we'd be talking to people about this. He'd be like, yeah, and just kind of overtaking it.
You're working with a pro here.
He was on it, man. And he would do it over and over if we needed. And he never faltered or complained. And yeah, he was great.
No, I did great. The whole time he had this very specific, calm look. He didn't look bored. He didn't, it was just the right, which is a hard, it's a hard thing to nail. If it goes too far in one direction or the other, it doesn't work as good. So, whatever you told him to do, he definitely nailed it.
Yeah, we got real fortunate with it. We had 3 children that were under the age of 12, and one of them, Christian, is here today. And all of them did great. So I got very fortunate with it, but I know it can definitely go the other way.
Kids to work with. So, and now is that the? I don't know if this gets into any spoilers you don't want to talk about, but is that his only scene? Does he appear in other?
No, there are more scenes. Yeah.
Okay.
It may be the last. It may be the first. Who knows? We have to see the movie.
Know. So we also saw the teaser. For the film. Is there anything in there specifically you want to talk about? Anybody who is paying close attention might have noticed a few scenes with Michael in them.
Yeah.
Some directors cannot resist acting in their own stuff. You're your own Silent Bob, I guess.
There you go.
But yeah, tell us a little bit about what we saw in the teaser and some about the movie.
The teaser obviously covers a lot of ground. It's just to kind of show you just some of the different scenes that do take place and some of the different stories. Obviously, you don't know too much of it from there, but it's to kind of whet your appetite and hopefully you'll see things and see like, why is that woman freaking out? Why is that guy fighting? Why is this happening? That to kind of hopefully, entice people to want to see the film.
When that guy looks up from texting.
Yeah, at least part of it, yeah.
Well, awesome. So I assume there's a full trailer coming at some point.
There could be. I don't know. This one is done so well, and it's a hard film because there's about 8 different storylines that go, and so without getting into certain spoilers for one or too much, it seemed to do well with just kind of getting, like I said, the idea of what the film is out there. But there might be something that comes together. If not, hopefully that's enough to kind of get you interested in the film and want to come see it when it's ready.
All right. Well, it got me interested. And, one of the lucky things about you being the editor rather than sending it off to someone else is so many times a trailer gets edited by someone else and they throw in all those spoilery moments just because that makes the trailer interested and gets people into the theater, but at the same time, they ruined all the surprises of your film. So you're able to put together something that says reveals exactly the amount of information you want about the movie.
Yeah, just enough to kind of show them the beauty of some of it and some of what's happening there for some of the other pieces.
Show off some of the amazing cinematography from Chris Medico. I don't know if he's here yet.
I don't know if he's here, but yeah, definitely a round of applause.
We're going to go online.
Chris is amazing. He's great at whatever you want to get done. You tell him, and he'll find a way to make it happen for you.
Mm-hmm. So last question.
Sure.
Release date? Do you have a release date-ish in mind?
No, nothing firm. We've just finished the rough cut of it, so it's going to go for score and sound and coloring and all of that. I'm hoping by December or so to have some sort of premiere, and Facebook.com/Invisible Productions is the official page for it. So if you check that out, we'll certainly keep you updated there and let you know when it's ready to be seen and starting the festival circuit and all that stuff.
Nice. So check them out. Definitely check out the Facebook page and like it, and keep your eye on that one because it looks good.
Thank you.
So Michael Howard, everybody. Big hand for Michael. So next we're going to be watching a short film from local author Eryk Pruitt. He's got tons of short stories published and 2 novels. Pretty well-known crime author here in the area. But he did, this is his directorial debut. He's actually written a couple other films. He wrote, was it Foodie for director Christopher G. Moore, which won a bunch of awards on the festival circuit. He also wrote Disengaged, which is still winning awards on the festival circuit. And this is your debut short. It's called Liana on Command. So we'll go ahead and show that real quick. I wanted to go ahead, you can sit down, you can stay there, whatever's comfortable for you. I did want to go ahead and give a little disclaimer. Michael's film or scene was probably the most family-friendly thing we've seen so far. From here on out, we get into a little more adult content, some adult themes, so if you have any kids or anything, you've been warned. So, anyways, hey. Yeah, it's got to get interesting at some point. So, let's get on with our next short film, Liana on Command, directed by Eryk Pruitt. Michael, you want to come back up? You want to come back up? So let's get Eryk up here. Mike, you come up too. And get everybody up here. So, like I said before, Eryk is a writer, mostly crime, short stories, and novels. But this is your first film that you've directed. So tell us a little bit about what it's like directing your first film. How's that different from your involvement in other films?
Well, I'm a writer first. I do like that part. With the director, it's pretty neat because, if things don't go well, you can always put it off on him or her, which is a very, very comfortable seat to sit in. So if it doesn't go right, when you direct it yourself, it's all on you. Luckily for me, I had it really easy because I had Nick Carner, who does everything. The dude's a former director, cinematographer, actor, writer, editor. So he just made it very, very easy for me. All I had to do was just learn how to shut up and let him go. So.
I hear a lot of people talking about Nick Carter, but I've never actually met him. I have a feeling I'm getting catfished.
No way. Every time that the independent spirit of a movie exists in a room, Nick Carter is there. Every time you feel that you need to put some duct tape on something in order to make it work and get that shot, it's Nick Carter. He's the duct tape that's holding it all together. So he's all around
all of us now. So, like I mentioned before, you mostly do crime novels. Your first one was Dirtbags.
Yes, sir.
And you recently put out Hashtag. This obviously...
The rights are available to both of them for film. Just, by the way. By the way.
I'm sorry, I missed the plug. You got to get the plug in. So this obviously not crime. A little, I don't know if I'd say outside of your wheelhouse.
Let me ask you your definition of crime then, man.
Yeah, it depends on how you interpret that. But so tell us about going a little bit outside your wheelhouse and what gave you the idea for this one.
I don't necessarily like to, crime is an easy box to check off, like when you're, on Netflix or on Amazon looking for a book. I kind of like the darker stuff, that interaction that exists between two people when one person's about to swindle the other, so I kind of like that. Making this film in particular, I was trying to, like when you've gone out with a girl or a guy for so long and then you break up for like a weekend and then you get back together and it's different, like all of a sudden there's a sneaky finger, there's something going on. that wasn't there before, and you kind of like it, but at the same time, you're like, what the fuck were you doing that weekend that we were broken up? You know, like if you could bottle that, is kind of what I was trying to go for.
So what, do you know anything about, because the techniques and everything that Leon is supposed to be using is actually based on some real ideas and psychology stuff that you researched. Tell me a little bit about that, because I don't know anything about that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's changed its names and it's changed its formats or whatever since they've had some in the 50s, 60s, 70s. I think it's always coming out of California or something like that, where you better yourself, and you don't necessarily have to have a psychology or psychiatry degree in order to preach it. They have different names for it. Like I said, as the decades have gone by, different self-help gurus. I just can't help but think that there's Leonas all over the place out there, especially now the internet, that are gonna get hold of you and do what they want.
Yeah, tinker with the machinery up there.
Yeah, I think last century is called like Catholicism, but yeah, it's a different name for it. All the
I
time.
hear you got to watch out for that one. Those guys are sneaky. So again, first film, you've got your story. Did it come pretty easily? And how different is the finished product from your original draft?
The story was actually, it was a short story first, actually a little bit of a longer version.
So it was a story that you were just going to submit to a magazine or something?
It was a short story. I submitted it a few places, didn't get the traction I wanted from it, but we were getting ready a month later to film a bigger project that I wrote and directed called The Hoodoo of Sweet Mama Rosa. And it, like I said, I've been writing forever, never directed, so I was really scared to just jump right in and get on that. And Nick and Meredith and Tracy and Jeffrey all said, hey, how about if we just take a weekend and do a little practice run? And so take a story, find a story that'd be simple to shoot, and that way you can have directed and kind of learn like what to do right and what to do wrong, what you could do over. And honestly, for a 2-day shoot, I got 3 of the best actors I know, which are Tracy Coppage, Meredith Sousy, and Jeffrey Moore. I got Nick Carner, who, like I already said, he's like a Swiss Army knife. I had some great help behind the camera between my wife who caters and Chris Medico, like we said, Piper Kessler. So
Piper's
you just really couldn't go wrong. Like there was a huge safety net underneath me. We did that for 2 days. It was pretty much, we shot it in sequence. It was pretty much everything was literal. Nick threw the edit together. I think other than massaging the last shot, it was pretty much his first rough cut was pretty much what we
And it's all shot in one location, right? Both
Tracy's house.
Yeah, it's all in one house.
Same location used for this, the
We did, yeah, for the sister's house.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, okay.
Tracy's house is actually in a lot of films. It's like the Kevin McLeod of locations.
Now you guys have actually worked together before. I know you did a book trailer for Hashtag.
He starred in my
Michael
Hashtag book
Spears
trailer. My favorite collaboration we've done was at Motorco, a live show where I had to renew somebody's vows, and Michael sat in the audience in a wheelchair for 2 hours so that I could come out and cure him. Everybody sitting with him just thought he was a guy in a wheelchair. That was great.
They brought me drinks, that worked.
A brown drink.
There you go. You got paid for it. You got paid for it.
And then I got a spot in his.
You do have a small role in, or at least from what I've seen, a small role. I haven't seen the whole movie, but you're in Where We're Meant to Be. Michael's a great actor too. Honestly, I'm surprised Tracy beat him out for the role of the wife.
I was out of town. That was the only reason. Couldn't.
But you still lucked out. Tracy did an awesome job.
Tracy
What's it like working with, because I know Meredith Sousy, great local actress who's been in a lot of stuff. Tracy, of course, the two of them are actually in Meredith's upcoming directorial debut, Keepsake, which you wrote.
They're also in Where We're Meant to Be.
Right. We saw Tracy freaking out in a car, I think, in the teaser.
Which is what she does very well. She freaks out very
Yeah,
well.
that wasn't even in the script. We were just filming her before, and she just started freaking out.
And then of course Jeffrey. What's it like working with actors like that are just they're always willing to go for it?
Yeah, they're real pros. They're really, really good at what they do. Like I said, our job, they make our job really, really easy. I'd say, with them, especially Tracy and Meredith, get them, if you're making films, get them while you can, because they're going to be out of here real quick. They're really, really good at what they do. Jeffrey is hilarious. He's a writer of his own. Like in the montage, for example, you know, in those montage shots, all I said, you know, I was leaving those kind of open. I had an idea what we wanted. It's 3 montages, you know, show this, then the progression, and the next progression. And Jeffrey came up with one, which was the drink on the, you know, the coaster stain. And he told me that it was a relationship that he had gotten out of where it was just similar. And then after they broke up, he spent so much time looking at that stain saying, yeah, he sure was a stain on my life, but it was my stain and I miss it. And I was like, dude, we got to put that in there, man. So he donated that to the story. But yeah, working with them is great. Like I said, with them, you just shut up, get out of their way, let them do their thing. Really, really funny people when the camera's not rolling too, so they keep the spirits up.
I saw you had an outtake that you posted on Facebook recently that was really funny.
Yeah, it's basically the two of them laughing and they can't stop, and that's what the entire film set was like with the two of them. Just couldn't stop laughing.
Was there a lot of ad-libbing, or did they offer a lot of lines that changed in the film? Or it sounds like it was pretty much what you wrote originally.
I'd say
Stayed
that
pretty tight.
Tracy's approach to the character was 100% her.
It wasn't originally supposed to be that frumpy?
No, I had something in mind what it was, and she brought that, and no one could mess with it. We were like, dude, I think that was 100% her.
Nice. So this one, is this the first time that this has been screened?
No, it's currently on the festival circuit. So it's screened at a couple of festivals. Where the hell did we shown it a few times around town. For the Triangle 2 shorts and a feature series, we screened it there.
Right.
It was at a film festival in Carborough where Meredith won Best Actress of the festival, which was really, really great. So it's screened a couple times. It's almost finished with its festival submission.
Okay. And then Hoodoo of Sweet Mama Rosa is coming next. That one has not been screened yet. You were saying maybe sometime in October?
I'm actually going to screen it in Beaufort, South Carolina to a small writers festival next weekend. I'm going to be the only person there that I know, so it's going to be kind of a fun test. Meredith and I are putting together a screening on November the 9th in Durham that's going to show both Keepsake and the Hoodoo of Sweet Mama Rosa. That'll really be the first time it screens.
Okay. And that'll be Keepsake's first time also, right?
Keepsake's first time too. We filmed that in 2013. And that's going to be a monster. I'm serious, man. You guys got to check that out. Meredith's been working on it. It's got the sound mixed at, you know, a studio in Hollywood. You know, the acting is great. The set is great. It's a story about a hoarder. Two daughters that have to come and clean up their hoarder mother's house after she's passed. And Meredith really turned a house into a hoarder's house. This is the craziest set I've ever worked on. But a week inside of a house that was just packed with shit. It was crazy. But yeah, that's November 9th. We're going to screen Keepsake and the Hoodoo of Sweet Mama Rosa together.
You have a location yet?
106 Main.
Okay.
It's going to be a night of Southern Noir shorts. And so, y'all please come out.
Okay. So, yeah, definitely. I hope you guys enjoyed Leon on Command. Keep an eye out for Hoodoo of Sweet Mama Rosa. Check out 106 Main on November 9th to see both of those movies. Thanks for showing that film.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you for
any other plugs you want to give? Is there a website for it or anything?
Yeah, if you check out ErykPruitt.com, and that's ErykPruitt.com, I'll put everything up there that's going on. And usually I try to make sure that we're staying busy, so that there's something to do. So yeah, please come out to that website and check it out. And then I have a pocket full of postcards and bookmarks too. So
I didn't know there was going to be prop comedy.
yeah, so I was gonna set them on all the chairs, but I
Dibs.
So you just want to go to the front of the stage and make it rain?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, let everybody get some of those later on. Thank you for chatting about your film. We're going to go ahead and show the next one. You guys can either stay there or get down in the seat if you want, whatever you're most comfortable with. But our next one is a short from director Michael Babbitt. Oh, geez. It's called Sacrifice, and a little bit of an introduction. He's working on a project called The Endless Whisper Cycles, which is going to be a feature film. And in the meantime, while he's gearing up for it, he made a series of short films. which you can find. All of them are available on the endlesswhispers.com, or is it the Endless Whispers Cycles? Endless Whispers, theendlesswhispers.com. But there are 6 prequel shorts, as it were, and this is one of them. So this is Sacrifice from director Michael Babbitt.
Nice job.
So that was pretty fucked up right there. So yeah, I think all the kids left. I think we gave them a proper warning for that one.
Yeah, but I want the parents to have that choice.
It was off screen.
Yeah, were there any parents that probably should have left? That's what we should ask first. So this is part of the Endless Whispers cycles.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about the project as a whole.
Well, the cycle is actually what we're calling the prequel films.
So the shorts are the cycle.
The feature film itself is just the Endless Whispers.
Okay.
And it's basically, as you can probably tell, it's an end of the world type scenario. Each of the what we're calling featurettes, part of the Endless Whispers cycle, each one of them is actually takes place the moment in time when the characters in each one of them experienced what is our end of the world scenario. So the Endless Whispers takes place 3 years after all of the featurettes. And this is basically, each one is about each of the different characters, where they were when the end of the world started to happen in their location, because it spreads very slowly.
Okay. Awesome. Now, and speaking of the different featurettes, like I said, there are 6 of them.
Currently, yes.
They're all available on theendlesswhispers.com.
Yes.
One of the other ones, the Long Road,
The Long
I believe
Road,
was
yes.
screened yesterday, I believe. So did anybody see that? Yes. That one was good too.
Thank you.
So, but if you want to see, if you didn't see that one or you haven't seen the other 4, theendlesswhispers.com, you can check them all out. Were these featurettes something you planned on from the beginning? Because I know you've been working on the Endless Whispers for a while. Was it something you, as production kind of got stretched out, was it something you decided to do to fill time and keep people interested, or was
No,
that the plan
actually,
from the
I
get-go?
conceived of these pretty early on because
There's so much to tell.
and there was also the writer and I. The writer's my best friend. He lives in Taiwan, and he's lived there.
Thank God for the internet.
He's lived there for like 20 years. We've seen each other actually twice in the last 20 years. But we're very much world builders. We love the creation of. So we've created a 30,000-year timeline. There's backstories to stuff that have backstories of backstories. We just really get into the building of it. And when we were talking about,
You got a Bible like this thick somewhere.
well,
I'm
it's
sure.
actually probably bigger than that. But when we were creating it, we said one of the things kept coming up about, in order to publicize it, why don't we do, a trailer, something like that. And I personally don't like those because unless you've got the funds to be able to do it the way so that the footage can be used. Generally, you always end up you have to end up reshooting that once you get to actually doing the feature anyway.
It doesn't look the same. You got different actors
Right.
and all that stuff. So
Right.
it's like a nice proof of concept, but it doesn't actually show what you're going to get.
Right. So I thought, well, what's a way we could do capture that same thing, and yet give everybody something extra, because you don't have to see this to understand Terry's arc in the Endless Whispers, but if you have seen this, it will make it makes it much richer. It's so that's kind of how it got conceived of, and we decided to do 8, and we wrote all 8. Well, actually, 7 of the shorts were written before we went into production for anything, and the last one came about. The last one, which is one of the 2 that we haven't done yet, is one we're still tweaking, because I've never quite been satisfied with the way it's told yet, so that's still getting tweaked.
So you are, of the 3 guys we got on stage here, and by the way, we've talked to all 3 of these guys on Local Film Talk before. So if you want to hear more from them, get a little more of their backstories or more in depth on any of these films, we're kind of going through it quickly because we got a time frame here at the museum. But if you want to hear more about these films and these shorts and what else they've worked on, you can check out our YouTube channel, Local Film Talk, and see more from all 3 of these guys. But we know of the stuff that we've screened so far, we're dealing with 2 writer-directors and 1 director who has a writer. So what's Tell us a little bit what it's like working with another writer, especially so collaboratively.
It's brilliant. It
There
is.
we go. It's nice
It's
to meet
brilliant. I mean, it's I very much like the collaboration as a director. I feel like my primary job is I have a vision, and then my primary job is just to convey my vision to everybody else that is going to do the magical stuff. Because
Well, that's kind of what Eryk was talking about. It's like, as a director, you have to be able to tell people what you want,
Right,
and then it's up
yeah.
to them to have the technical knowledge to make it happen.
well, not just technical, but the creative team. For me, I do. You know, I have a I have a very strong vision of things. But when I bring people in and I want experts, that's why I tend not to, because I feel like I'm an expert director, and I'm probably pounding the mic, right? I feel like I'm an expert director.
Expert directors aren't used to being liked.
Right, but I can do some cinematography, I can do some writing, but I don't consider myself a writer or a cinematographer. I want somebody who actually is a writer, who
Right.
is a cinematographer, who is a brilliant sound designer, who is a producer. You've already given me two of them. I can always use bookmarks.
Can never have enough.
But yeah, who is a great production designer, somebody that, and then they come in and they bring their expertise to that, and along with my vision, and everything comes together. By the time the film gets done, it's so much better than I had in my head when we started.
Right.
And if it's not, then I failed completely. If I see on the screen what I originally imagined, I'm like, that was a waste of time. Because there's the journey about all these people coming together. They bring in their creative force, and I think the collection of all those creative minds, when it's done right, makes something so better than one person can do. And that's why I love working with Chris as a writer. We work very, very closely. I mean, this one actually I wrote. It's one of two of the featurettes that I actually did write. But he wrote the feature, and he's written all the other shorts. But we do work, we work very extensively, and I work very hand in hand with my cinematographer. I love the creative process. I love the process.
Now, aside from, again, wanting to have someone who is an expert at their thing, like an expert writer rather than doing it yourself, do you also find it's nice having that checks and balance thing?
Oh, absolutely.
Keep each other on track?
Yeah.
And how about you guys, Eryk and Michael? Do you, in these specific cases, it's both been a writer-director scenario, but like I know Eryk, you've worked on some shorts where you were the writer and had a director. Do you prefer the collaborative, again, kind of checks and balances of that, or how does that relate to doing it all yourself?
I do. I do like the that energy that goes between two people when, just like he was describing. I see it one way. It is so much cooler to see how somebody else sees it.
Yeah, you actually said it best when he was talking to you. You said, "I just get out of the way.
Yeah.
I let them do what they do,"
Right.
and that's it.
It's all you really. It's just one. It's almost like the ultimate interaction with an audience. It's like Christopher G. Moore has his defined vision, and he's basically taken one of my stories and inserted it into his vision. So now I get to see how a person like him sees my work. So it's a lot more fun. It's a lot more rewarding. And yeah, I do appreciate the process.
Right. Michael, have you worked with other people, like as a writer working with a director or vice versa, or has all your stuff been written and directed by you?
A little bit. I mainly do the writing directing myself, but that same idea with the collaboration is huge with camera and actors and all of that, because I think anybody who closes himself off too much to other input or other things like that is really missing out on a lot of things. So I may write and have direction for something in mind, and I can go to Medico or whoever the camera guy is or whatever and say, okay, this is what I picture here, and I want to try this and that. But they'll have ideas that are going to propel yours, or they may have
something like, well, what about doing this?
Exactly.
And you go, oh my God,
Yeah.
that's freaking brilliant.
Yeah, and so that, or even a lighting change or something like that, where I'll be like, well, I don't know, I really want this long push in, but that's kind of all you envision. So then, Chris can be like, well, let's put a light here, let's make it shadowed there, and let's put it a little lower, and that'll change the dramatic feeling of it. And then suddenly that shot, it's still your shot idea, but now it's so much better, by being open to those type of things. So I think it's important to.
And that also helps with the idea of writer's block. You know, if one person is sitting in front of their computer, not talking to anyone else, it's a lot easier to get stumped. But once you can bounce ideas off someone else, it's easier to keep the process moving. So you, Michael Babbitt, we got two Michaels and an Eryk here.
And a third Michael coming
And a
up
third
next.
Michael
Michael will
number
be coming
three.
up soon. Eryk, why'd you screw it up?
He didn't get the memo.
Yeah. Can I just call you Mike? Or
My middle name is Michael,
Oh,
oddly
okay.
enough.
There we go. But with a Y, right?
Absolutely.
So, Michael Babbitt, you told me once that you consider yourself more of a character person.
Yeah.
Your writer focuses on the story, you focus on the character.
Yeah.
What are some of the techniques you use, for example, here, to help convey the character, to get it across to the audience, you know, rather than, you know, like a lot of times a lesser story will have things explicitly said or people monologuing. What are some of the little touches you use to help convey character?
Good God, we don't have enough time for that. I just really try to help the actor get into. I have a very strong background in acting. I worked as a professional actor for 15 years. Always wanted to be a director, so it was really sort of like a way stop that I did. But it helped me to understand, and really hone my ideas of what acting is. And so I really try to help the actor. To me, it's not about emotion, it's not about emotion for the actor when I'm talking to the actor. I never talk about emotions with the actors, because as soon as you talk about an emotion with an actor, you get acting emotions. And
Okay.
it doesn't. If I had told her I wanted her to cry in that scene, we wouldn't have gotten what we got. You know, you need to cry. You know, I want to see
I need
tears
more
coming
tears and
streaming
stuff,
down your
yeah.
face. You got to be much sadder. You know, how do you be sadder? So I try to help them get into the context of, you know, so I pose questions constantly, especially, you know, some actors are really good at it. Some, you know, you have to help guide them, and that's, you know, kind of the job of the director. But it's really about allowing them to feel comfortable in, and I say comfortable in a very different context from what other actors might say comfortable. I don't think actors should be comfortable, but because if you're comfortable, then you're gonna always fall back on the norm.
Right.
So I think an actor should always be challenging themselves, but I want them to know they're in a place where they can do all that, and I help them to do that
You
by
want them
posing.
to feel comfortable to be uncomfortable,
Right.
so that they don't.
We don't have to.
You
You know, yeah. So you know, I make sure that what we talk about, you know, can't be, depending on the subject matter of what you're dealing with in any film, you can't really be politically correct, because we don't live in a politically correct world. And so if you're going to get in the mindset of a character who's not politically correct, how can you be politically correct when you talk about it?
Right.
So but you got to feel comfortable to be able to explore that, and just I ask a lot of questions. You know, somebody will say, well, you know, something's not quite where, and usually I don't have a way I want a scene to go. I get the actors in there, because the actors are going to bring their own energy and their own ideas to it, and with the script in mind. So I got to take into account, I got to be true to the script, I got to be true to the actors, and I got to be true to the overall vision of the film. So we explore and find out where that goes by posing questions. A lot of these shorts kind of came out of actually that idea. The ideas were born that, okay, we know it takes place at their moment when the end of the world is happening, but what is it about each one of these characters, because we've only got 7 to 10 minutes to do something. So what is it that I want to do about each one of the characters? So I just started asking questions about, and Terry's was basically like, how far would a mother go to save her family? And that's what we got.
Pretty darn far, it looks like.
Don't mess with moms.
Well, cool. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next one. I got a ton more questions, but we got a lot to get through. And I got more questions for everybody in the end. But next we're going to, yes, absolutely. And thank you to these guys for all coming up here and chatting. Did you want to? Okay. Yes, it is. This next one is a little longer. This next short's a little over 20 minutes long, so we'll let everybody get comfortable. This next one is by local director Jason Buterin. He couldn't be here with us. We got the lead actor, Michael Ray Wilson, is Michael Ray Williams, my bad. Getting tongue-tied up here. He's been generous enough to come and talk about it. But this next one is called Between Hell and a Hard Place. It's about, well, we'll let it speak for itself. So here we go, Jason Butarin's Between Hell and a Hard Place. Well, let's give a hand to all these guys. I think we got 4 pretty awesome films here. Michael, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
That was pretty good. You guys shot that 2 years ago, I guess?
That was, no, it was last summer. So we just celebrated our 1 year.
Okay, cool. Now, how long have you been working with Jason, and how did he come to you for this project?
I met Jason a number of years ago at a convention in Tennessee called Conuga. I had done a project with Adrenaline, the Adrenaline Group, which is now Adrenaline Productions, and they're kind of independent films, and it's apparent, like watching the credits from all the movies, it tends to be a fair amount of incestuous behavior because we all kind of share the same people. And anyway, they had a working relationship, Mad Ones and Adrenaline, and Jason and I just kind of hit it off. Everybody, drunk woman at the con thought we were the Black Crows, and that kind of bonded us a little bit. And anyway, if you've ever seen him, he's the spitting image of Chris Robinson, Jason is. Anyway, we had a lot in common, and we like the same kind of movies and stuff. And I came out and helped out he had been working on a trilogy, The Gospel According to Booze, Bullets, and Hot Pink Jesus. And I came out, and yes, great Grindhouse trilogy. I came out and helped out with built some props for him and just sort of did some tech stuff for him, a little bit part here and there. And he was gracious enough to come see a show. I used to do a lot of theater. Him and his wife came and saw a show that I did, and after the show we went out and had a few drinks, and he was like, "So we gotta do something, get you more in front of the camera." And he'd been working on this story for a long time, and he just really wanted to do a ghost story that was very much inspired by the Twilight Zone, specifically the Twilight Zone movie, but the Twilight Zone in general, because the Twilight Zone, it's good stuff. And
everybody here, I assume, is a fan.
Of course,
Twilight.
yeah. So he
that one.
had this script and this concept, and he workshopped it. And Jason works on something at nauseum. Like, he is super OCD and super meticulous, and spends a lot of time. He wrote, I think, probably 8 drafts that I saw of the script, and kind of workshopped with me on it. And he had worked with Patrick Keenan, who's an amazing actor as well.
Yes, he is.
He had worked with him prior, and he was originally wanted him for the part, and then he didn't want him for the part, and then he wanted him for the part again, and we got together and did some reading and stuff, and just workshopped it and made it happen.
Nice. Now, you've worked with Patrick before?
Yeah.
Oh,
This
he's
is
awesome.
one of my earliest films.
Pickles, as we call them.
Yeah, we had that discussion on the
Right,
web talk
on an
the other
earlier
day.
episode.
Pickles.
Not a guy I would think would be called Pickles, but
I know, right?
if the shoe fits, I guess.
Yeah. Anyway, he was amazing to work with. He's a good guy.
So when Jason came to you with this, I guess he had a pretty polished version of the script. He pretty much, did he already know it was going to be black and white? He had the whole costumes and everything set up?
He, like I said, man, he's very detail-oriented, very obsessive about his projects. Spends a lot of time. He probably hands-on was working on this for at least 2 years. We shot it all, we blitzkrieged it. We shot it all in a weekend.
What's the crazy thing? It sounds like he's been working on it for years and years and years, and
Pre-pro.
then you shoot it in 2 days.
Well, that's his plan of attack. It's you do all of your work in pre-pro. He's spent a whole lot of time working with the DP and our other camera guys, figuring out what each shot to the letter. It was probably the most efficient set I've ever been on.
Wow.
We knocked it out. It was 3 days of footage, 3 days of shooting, 37 hours of footage. We did some B-roll stuff and the daytime car stuff, one day out, because the weather on that Sunday of the weekend wasn't cooperating.
Weather will get you, yeah.
Yeah, and but he when he came to me with it, he had a pretty good idea. He also a big inspiration of his, Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino.
You can definitely see that there.
Definitely, and so that was
had the suits to match.
we for all anybody else knows, we work for the same organization. So he had a pretty good idea about that. Me and Pickles sat down and watched Reservoir Dogs a couple times, and we rehearsed. That's a very novel concept with independent film, I'm finding, is that we actually got together and rehearsed.
I was going to ask, I guess this would go for all you guys, but yeah, starting with you, rehearsal is not something that usually happens a lot, but you guys did get to do that?
Oh yeah, that was something, in previous films that I'd worked on, I was just, because I have a theater background, that was where I learned how to do all this stuff, and that's what kind of fueled my interest in doing film. It seems so silly to not rehearse dialogue, at least, to try to establish, because sometimes you luck out. Sometimes you get people on the set and the chemistry is just there and it all falls into place, but sometimes you don't, and sometimes it comes across glaringly obvious. And we got to rehearse. That was something I told him, if we weren't going to rehearse, I didn't really want to do it. Like, I was kind of have a little diva moment.
There's a lot of long scenes without cuts.
Yeah.
A lot of back and forth dialogue, and much like theater, you've got to nail several lines, several back and forth interrupting the other guy, and if you haven't rehearsed that, if you haven't figured out your timing, then you're gonna have a lot of takes.
Yeah, we got together 4 times prior to principal photography, Patrick, Jason, and I, and we all at a coffee house sitting out away from everybody else. And rehearse the lines, and we changed some stuff there. And Jason isn't super strict when it comes to his scripting. He'll get nitpicky about certain lines. You have to say it in specific wording, but he's
especially with something like that where you're kind of trying to hide a secret the whole time. The words can sometimes. If you stray too far one way or the other, you're either going to create a plot hole or give something away. Yeah,
but he was fairly liberal with our interpretation of it, and Patrick and I. Just workshopped it. It was also cool, like while we were on set, while they're setting up, getting audio going on the one car or on a certain thing. Patrick and I had a lot of time to go drive around a little bit and rehearse while we're driving.
Nice.
So it was a lot of practice, a lot of rehearsal. It was really good.
Cool. Now, Michael, Babbitt, as far as rehearsal goes, it sounds like you're more focused on, like you said, asking your actors questions and getting them in the headspace.
Oh no, we rehearse a lot.
Tell us about rehearsal on your film.
We don't necessarily always rehearse prior to the scene. I actually, what's that? We might not rehearse a lot prior to the scene. Prior to the day. But I spend a good portion of my time, which is why having great people on the set. When the cinematographer's doing his thing, I'm usually spending however long it takes for setups. That's where we rehearse the actual scene.
Right.
But I do plenty of groundwork with the actors, and I honestly expect my actors to do a lot of groundwork outside of what their discussions with me, because when I hire them, again, the same expert level, I'm hiring. If I just wanted somebody to give a so-so performance, I'd hire myself to act in it. But I want experts, so I expect expert work.
Right. Again, if you knew everything that they were going to do and everything they needed to know, you'd
then I'd do it myself.
They got to bring something.
I want something. So I expect that an actor will do. They've got their work that they need to do, and then I will spend at least 2 or 3 meetings with actors working, discussing characterization, delving into the motivations of the character, the past of the character. A lot of it, I call them, my phrase is given circumstance. It's not really as simple as the history of the character, but basically I encourage my actors not to touch the scripts very often. Because I want them to know their lines, and I'm going to make a plug for the writer. I'm big, as a director, even though I'm not a writer, I'm big on paying attention to what the writer says. Because any writer who works his butt off to write what he wrote, I guarantee you those word choices were made for a reason.
Right.
If you're going to change them, that's fine. Let's discuss why you're going to do it. But don't just think you can walk in and think you're welcome. I'm getting a lot of this. Actors that come in and that think they can just kind of just kind of like, oh, I'm going to do my thing. I'm like, well, then I'm going to do my thing to you in the editing room.
Right.
So how would you like that? So so I'm pretty sacrosanct with the script. Not that there can't be new things discovered. I love that. Somebody will say this, somebody will come to me and say, this line, I just don't think I would say that line. And we'll discuss it. I'll go, you know what? You're probably right. I mean, that's your instinct. Let's go, what have you, and we'll figure out what's best. So, but we do, but I don't encourage them to touch the script too much because, especially if they're not working with each other, because they have no idea what the other person is going to give to them.
Right.
Until they get there and they're actually doing it. If they prepare it ahead of time when they come in and they've already prepared the scene, then they've already prepared a way they're going to react to somebody who's
right.
giving them something and then you get two people that are acting in like different rooms and you're going, why doesn't it look like they're talking to each other? So
Right.
So that's the kind of rehearsal we do. I spend a lot. Talk to the actors that have talked to Terry or those guys or in any of the films. How we've delved into the character, the discussions we had about Tom, about Willie, about all the back stuff behind Willie. Who if you see Huckleberry, this guy right here is in one of the featurettes. One of the other featurettes. The time I spend with them talking about, if they come in knowing who they are and who the character is. The lines of the story, the scriptwriter's taking care of that for them. All they have to do is get in there and tell the story. Their work is the character.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Eryk, not Michael, I'm sorry. You have, like you said, you were first-time director. You got some really talented actors in. Did they need a lot of rehearsal, or how did your rehearsal process go?
Oh, it's a lot of fun. We have table reads. Every time we'll do a table read, and then I basically give my phone number and my email address. I'll talk to them as much as they want. And I've had both experiences. Like with Liana, like I said, Tracy sees my lines. She's going to read my lines, but she's going to read them from this character that she basically invented and brought a lot of fun to it. I really, like I said, I adored the way she wanted to explore. I made the film 50 times better than where I was. It's the same thing, the experience with Foodie. They all read my lines, but they read them in a way that I never pictured in my head, and it was better, way better. So,
did that require you to go back and make changes to the script to adjust to what they came up with? No,
they didn't change the lines so much, but I would, I'm not a real stickler for each word. If they want to throw in a dude or a hey, or I don't think my character would have said a xylophone right here, or whatever. We'll totally work with it. I'm there.
What character wouldn't say xylophone right there? It's a gift.
It's a great word.
The other experience I had though was on Hoodoo. I had the pleasure of working with J.W. Smith on there, and who is like a veteran from like 6 Walter Hill pictures. And so automatically, my attitude was, I'm just not gonna fuck with this guy. He knows what he's doing. He's a ninja. I'm not gonna get in there and mess with his thing. And he insisted, my attitude is, I know this character, I know his backstory, I know, but that's mine. That's what I have. It's not even on the page. If you have something else that makes this character make sense for you, let's see what you got. And he wanted mine. He was like, dude, I'm going to deliver this, but I want to hear what you think. And so this was the first time I really had to okay, this guy was born in Deep East Texas. He came up, in the 50s. He had some problems with his blood. And Jimmy just drank that up and then went out there and gave an amazing performance. So I've had both experiences, and I think they both rely on the collaboration.
Nice.
He's
now,
going
Mike
to totally want to use that line to promote himself. He's a ninja.
He's a ninja.
That's going to be on the poster, right?
He's probably played one. He's got a
Probably.
Now, Michael Howard, yours was a little different in that, again, we're dealing with a feature. You're also telling a lot of different stories. So you have a bunch of groups of people in short segments, people flying in at different times. You got a lot of coordination with schedule and everything. When you're flying an actor in from Atlanta or LA or wherever you got some of your bigger name actors from, how do you deal with rehearsal on something like that?
It just depends on the circumstance. With this one, with them being spread, the actress was from LA, the actor was from New York, so we did some Skype session where we kind of went through it and talked about the characters and read through it so they could kind of get used to it. And theirs was a particularly big dialogue scene, and so getting that flow and getting kind of the feeling of it was pretty important. And then other actors locally I would meet with and go through. Some were more kind of fresh on the day so that it wasn't too, you want that kind of raw or like I said, fresh, kind of perspective the day of. And we'd go through general blocking and kind of tell them, this is what I'm looking for with this character, and don't do this too much because it's more of a kind of a subtle moment type of thing or whatever. And then they would kind of go with it and we'd go through it and talk about it. Or, like Michael was saying, if they bring up something, well, I don't know about this line, or this, I'm not really feeling this line or whatever, happy to talk to them about it there and kind of break it down and go from there. But I do feel that rehearsals and run-throughs and all of that are pretty key with getting the flow and the understanding of everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I think all you guys have said, it's not all about, you want a lot of rehearsal so that, people are all on the same page, but at the same time, you don't want it to become rehearsed and mechanical and people falling back on their own habits. So it's all about just getting everyone in the right headspace to make sure that they can react to each other properly, right?
That's kind of the actor's job.
Yeah,
So I mean,
that is what the actors do.
that's what they should do.
They should rehearse it, but then it shouldn't sound rehearsed.
Right. As you know from a theatrical background, you've got to rehearse so that you don't have to stop and say line in the middle of a live performance.
Yeah, with theatrical live shows, I mean, you tend to have like 6 to 8 weeks of rehearsal, 5 to 6 days a week.
Okay.
So it's a lot of rehearsal.
Okay. So kind of I guess a little more of a fun question. I think you guys all got kind of interesting names on your movies. No, not names.
Oh, wait, yeah.
Oh no, we all
Michael.
They're all interesting.
Yeah.
But
I like yours the best.
that's something that I've always found kind of a fun little challenge whenever I'm working on something, is trying to come up with a title for it. It's kind of hard. You rack your brain with a bunch of different ideas, and half of them are stupid. Do you know how half of them being
Way more than
None of mine are stupid.
But do you know, obviously between Hell and a Hard Place is a line from the film. Did Jason ever get into that or talk about?
He had the title, probably had the title first.
Title first, then you write a movie around it.
I swear, that's just how he works. And we talked about it in rehearsal about having the line in there, because that's a cliche thing. Lots of, and it's not, you don't see it very much anymore in modern movies or even in modern independent films, but there used to be for a long time the title of the movie is always said in the movie.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And we loved that. That's just such a funny thing to us, on set, or while we were rehearsing. So we were like, well, we got to put it in there. So.
And it seems like that'd be kind of a restrictive thing too. It's like once you decide you're going to title your movie after this line,
get to
that's
flex
something that's set in
flex
film
our
and you're not
48-hour film festival muscles there a little bit. This forced line that we have to use.
Right.
Let's use it. Yeah.
These
Now,
just aren't any wars, Michael. These are Star Wars.
That's no moon.
So Sacrifice, pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Um,
You didn't try to come up with anything too cutesy or clever.
Sacrifice. I thought you were going to ask about the Endless Whispers, but Sacrifice.
That too.
Sacrifice actually was the only title it was ever titled.
Okay.
It just fell into place when I wrote it, and
You wrote the short, and then you said, "I need a title for this," and it will be. You didn't have the title.
No,
first.
that one came pretty effortlessly. The Endless Whispers, though, we probably went through at least 100 different titles.
Okay.
And
we will learn what
just
that
a
means when we see the
and
feature?
just a little plug about the Endless Whispers. Our film, the feature film is heavily influenced by H.P. Lovecraft. So if anybody here is a Lovecraft fan,
Sweet.
they're not. I promise you, they're not zombies. They're something far worse. And the Endless Whispers.
Everybody with dark eyes and moaning, that's zombies, right?
Oh, well, then you want to go see it. So, because they're not.
Awesome.
I like the kind of horror. I've always been a fan of the horror that is unknown, that you never see, that you don't know what it is, that you can't describe it. That to me, that is true terror. And
People come up with crazier stuff in their own mind.
oh yeah,
than you're
way
gonna put on
crazier,
screen.
way crazier.
Yeah.
So our films are the Endless Whispers is really going to be kind of a throwback to those films from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, like The Shining and Rosemary's Baby and the original Halloween.
Right.
You know, they're not really going to be. There's going to be some gore in it because it's it is something terrifying, but it's
Gotta
not.
give people some eye candy.
Yeah, it's really about the paranoia that these people have to deal with. And so when we were coming up with this storyline, one of the prominent things is how the affliction is spread, and so that kind of gives you a clue of why the title is the way it is.
Okay. I assume that also has to do something with the
Headphones.
taking out of the earplug.
Very good. Yeah.
I have not seen extra stuff. I'm just reading what I saw. Eryk, we have Liana on command. I'm assuming you were sitting down one day and say, I want a name that's difficult for people to spell correctly when they're writing about it.
Well, Bob, it's not that hard. No, it's like with Foodie and Dirtbags, I think I had the title first and then just kept looking at the title. You know, this one was one where I think I wrote the whole story, and then instead of writing the end, almost like the movie was, there were really only 2 choices on what to title that, and Leon on Command won.
Okay.
So.
And what, Michael Howard, what does Where We're Meant to Be have to do? Is that a spoiler or?
No, it's not a spoiler, but it's just kind of the theme of it, of, you know, being in these certain places at a certain time in your life, or the connections between each other. And so that's one that I finally just kind of, you know, playing with
'Cause
words
it
and
sounds
different
like Where
things.
We're Meant to Be almost insinuates that based more on fate than coincidence.
Some of it could be that way. It's really just kind of depending, because there's so many different characters in it that some of them have these different perspectives as it goes about. And so, you know, some of the dialogue in it and stuff kind of mentions, you know, being in a particular place at a certain time, or even if it's not, you know, serendipity that caused something or whatever, you know, just the fact that that happened at that exact time is what caused this. And if that didn't happen, if that person wasn't where they were, or since this situation didn't happen, then this whole thing wouldn't have happened. This whole part of their life wouldn't have happened in that way. And like I said earlier, some of it's, you know, big direct things, and some of them are just kind of smaller indirect things.
And again, is that something that hit you early on, or did you really have to go through a lot of drafts to come up with that title? Because it's an interesting title. It's different from most you see in the theater.
Yeah, I tried to find something that was a little different, but I probably about midway through, and like I said, just kind of playing with a combination of words and ideas, and then it kind of comes to the point where I send it to a bunch of friends and say, if you heard this movie, does it sound like something you'd want to watch? Does it sound cool, or, you know, whatever, and, you know, it kind of goes
Yeah,
through
that's part of it.
different
You know, not
things.
only does your title have to describe the movie in some way, it's also got to be something that interests people enough to get their butt in the seat.
Gotta have a hook.
Yep. Well, thank you guys for taking the time to chat with me and show your films. One last thing, what are you doing next, Michael?
Can I talk about it? Yes. Yeah. Jason and I.
First, before we get into that one, I happen to know that you will be appearing soon, if it hasn't already shown at least once, in another Christopher Seymour movie, Knobgoblins, which is beginning to make its way around the circuit. Chris, wait for everybody. We mentioned your name a couple times.
I don't know anything about those screenings.
You're starring in that.
Because Chris Ford sucks.
And what's the other one?
Tom here and Tim, he wandered off, and Jason and I are.
Tim does that.
Yeah, he wanders. Clown shoes. We are doing a fantasy feature because we hate ourselves.
Low budget fantasy.
Well, yeah, low budget, bigger budget than any of us are used to working with. But yeah, it's this really cool story written by Bill Mulligan from Adrenaline Productions, who's just an amazing writer. And yeah, we're gonna do some crazy high fantasy dragons and Durgans and stuff.
Can you talk about the name of it, or?
It's called Blood of the Dragon.
Blood of the Dragon. You got a Facebook page or a website yet? No.
Our IT guy sucks.
Okay.
He's the IT.
I'm not doing it anymore then.
All right, so Blood of the Dragon.
Yeah, watch for that.
Keep an eye out for that one. You're getting ready to get started on that one soon. Michael Babbitt,
The feature.
the
Endless
feature.
Whispers. Yeah.
How's that coming along?
Well, this is going to let a little bit of a cat out of the bag. We are actually currently in a very, 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 very interesting position. That's the best position we've probably ever been in to secure funding to shoot the feature.
Oh, nice.
So, and it may be the best chance that we have.
on
So
wood.
that's developing. That's developing now as we speak. As in any dealings with LA producers and Hollywood, This could die tomorrow. It could take until next June, or they might call me up next week and say, you have been greenlit, you have the funds, go. So we'll see.
That's the part of the process
That's the
that you
nature of
don't
the
hear
beast.
enough about, but that's what it all hinges on, is getting that money together, and you'll tear your hair out trying to make it work. Now, we have 6 Endless Whisper featurettes.
There are 2 more that we plan on filming. Those 2 will be filmed. If the feature doesn't go into production, they'll be filmed before that. They're scheduled to be filmed actually in December.
Okay.
If the feature goes into production before that, obviously the featurettes would get pushed off until after the film.
Right, that will take precedent.
Yeah.
That's the opportunity you're gunning for. You got to
Oh
jump
yeah.
into it.
Oh yeah. And the actors that have been gunning for those 2 featurettes for a while. When I told them that, they were like, we're fine with that.
We can live with that, yeah.
We can live with that. So.
And everybody, again, can check out the whole thing.
TheEndlessWhispers.com, yes.
Okay. Eryk, what are you working on next?
Well, we have the Judo Sweet Mama Rosa, which is another short film that we worked on right after we finished Liana. That's going to come out, like I said, we'll have that screening November the 9th, so please join us November the 9th.
Double feature with Keepsake, which you wrote.
Absolutely. Also, Keepsake, which we made 2 years ago, that's going to be coming out at the same time. So you got Keepsake and the Judo Sweet Mama Rosa coming out. It's going to be a lot of fun. My short fiction has been collected, and I'm expecting some publication news on that. So if you'll stick around, I have a short story collection coming out, and I'm excited about that. And then also starting, the first show is September 28th, and then after that, on the second Monday of every month, on WCOM, I'm going to be hosting a crime writers show called The Crime Scene. Thanks for that. The Crime Scene on WCOM.
Oh, Michael Howard won the naming contest. Huh?
Yes. We had a naming contest. Michael Howard won with The Crime Scene. So thank you very much.
So an hour-long radio show every other Monday, you said?
It's every second Monday of the month.
Every second Monday of the month.
But the first one is September 28th.
Cool. You're going to be like interviewing writers, that kind of stuff?
I'm going to have a local crime writer in the booth, and we're going to call out to another one and talk to them. We're going to have some themes. Okay. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. You guys might meet a writer that you like a lot.
Nice. Okay.
Second to me.
And of course, everything that you do can be found on ErykPruitt.com.
ErykPruitt.com, ErykPruitt.com. So come hang out with me.
I'd say you can get a bookmark after the
you
show, but unfortunately, he's
Michael's
already given
gone.
them all to Michael Babbitt.
Yeah, I
So if you want one of
See me if you want one.
Yes, if you want one of Eryk's bookmarks, see Michael Babbitt. And
These
then
are
of
my
course,
Disney dollars.
Michael Howard, you have a feature to finish editing.
Yeah, as for personal projects, that one's taken up all the time for now. But yeah, the Invisible Productions Facebook page will always have updates on new things coming up. So check that out and
Okay.
see what's going on.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys, all of you, for taking
Thank
the
you.
time out on this Sunday to talk to
Guys.
us.
Oh, you stole my thing.
Thank you guys for coming out to
It's all right,
FilmSPARK
actually. Let's do a wave.
and our live show here. This has been a lot of fun. I got to thank Tom Gore and Matt Bussey, who came out here, gave up their Sunday mornings to shoot this thing for us. And we will be taking this video and the audio they're recording in the booth and putting it together into one of our episodes on our YouTube channel. So go subscribe to Local Film Talk on YouTube. And also got to thank the guys up in the booth, Conrad Arnold, who is running FilmSPARK, put it all together this year, put together a whole 4-day film festival in 2 months.
Wow.
Hopefully we'll have more time next year. So,
Nah.
hey, that's the problem. We proved we could do it in 2 months, so next
go.
time they'll give
It'll
us
be shorter.
6 weeks.
And you have to do it while you're on fire.
So, but thank you everybody for coming out and seeing our show. We hope to do it again next year. And keep your eye out for what these guys are working on, because as you can see, they got a lot of great stuff already done and more good stuff in the pipeline. So thank you all for coming out.
Thank you.